So I had a very conservative upbringing. I grew up in England and then Australia. Now obviously I'm based here in Cape Town. That is what this accent is trying to do. Conservative, I would consider myself a huge nerd. This picture on the left is me in my choir uniform, in a choir tour where I was singing in an Eisteddfod. Not very well either, but I played the clarinet, I was in the school band, I was in the choir, I did all of the, I guess, stereotypical private school English girl activities. Then I moved to Australia, went to private high school, went to university, did everything that was expected, and I got my first job, and that's me celebrating at a very lonely party, and that was at eBay. And actually that's not my first job, it's just the first one that sounds good. My first job was actually delivering fertilizer samples for a company called King Poo. And really, I literally was walking around putting fertilizer samples in mailboxes. And I had it on my CV, and I think that's how I got my eBay job. They were like, we just had to meet you and know what this King Poo was. So I think wherever you're coming from, own it. Okay, so I worked at eBay for a number of years. I really fell in love with e-commerce. I think what people don't see about eBay is that it's really a platform that enables entrepreneurs. It helps entrepreneurs get online, and that was my job, working specifically in fashion and then in motors, which was completely different, helping people sell and create this online business and online lifestyle. I then thought, cool, I've learned everything I need to start my own business, let's go. I dove headfirst into it. I worked for a bunch of different startups. This one on the right is one of the first businesses I started of my own. It was called Oh Boy, and it was like printed swimwear, giant inflatables, importing from China into Australia and selling them online. So I guess I kind of had two failures. I've had a lot of failures around this time, but two of them, I worked for a company, it was an online recruitment platform. This is probably my biggest learning. I was responsible for growth, and we built up quite a large sales team. We built up 20 people under me. We recruited before the product was ready. So I had this sales team sitting there day after day, and they had nothing to sell. So we were burning cash like nothing else. Finally, the product was ready. We were speaking to potential customers, and it just really wasn't what they wanted. So it was around October at this time, and we just started running out of money. So we went like headfirst deep into fundraising mode, which if any of you have done, takes you completely out of operations. We couldn't raise the funds. Start of December, I had to let this entire team go from the company, including myself, in the lead up to Christmas. And I guess this ego that I had built up, working at eBay, owning these huge budgets, seeing a lot of success because I had the brand behind me, was just shot. It was a good learning experience. I picked myself back up and started Oh Boy, but I didn't love it. I think like Holly talking about what is it that you really want to stand for, this wasn't what I wanted to stand for. I just saw people making money selling inflatables, and I was like, I want some of that, that looks good. So I started it, my heart wasn't in it. Everyone can see that when you put a facade out there, they can see it in your brand. So I ended up closing it down, really shut itself down. And then next, I moved to South Africa. So I've been here on holiday a couple of times. My partner is from Springs. It's actually all I really knew about South Africa before I moved here. But when I came on holiday, what I felt from the entrepreneur community was like South Africans have learned how they work to live, they don't live to work. In Australia and in corporate, I was in consulting at this point, you'd say to someone, I worked till midnight last night, and I go, wow, that's impressive, you must be really important. Whereas here, it's totally the opposite. They're like, can't you just do your job in the allotted time and then go live your life? It's like, this is a much better attitude. So I moved here, and I thought, cool, I'll start a business that helps entrepreneurs. This is where it all began. So my first business here was called the Growth Academy. I've met one of my customers face-to-face tonight, which was so exciting. But what it is an online e-learning platform that gives entrepreneurs training, particularly on social media, on how to start online businesses. So I moved here, and a few days before I moved, my partner was already here. He didn't have any accommodation booked for us. And so I went on Airbnb, and I saw this picture, and I was like, this looks really cool. This kind of looks like an underground 70s sex den vibe. Like, this is going to be a cool month together. So I booked this, and it was beautiful, but there was no light in the bathroom, so I did my makeup by candlelight for the first month. There was no Wi-Fi, so trying to start this online business in a country I knew no one in with no Wi-Fi was such a struggle. I ended up pretending I was ordering an Uber outside the warehouse next door, and that my data had run out. I got the Wi-Fi password, and then for the next 3 weeks, I was like pressed up against the wall closest to the warehouse, trying to start this business. It didn't go very well at that point, and I ended up getting a job, which I'll show you shortly. But you know, it has been a success story since then. Last year, the Growth Academy was named one of Fast Company's most innovative businesses, mostly because I called and asked them if we could be, and they said sure. So that is a learning that I've taken. Ask for what you want. But we did. We turned over R1 million in our first 12 months. Thank you. And mostly from hustling, and I'll share some of my learnings with you. The second company I started here was called Future Females. Some of you hopefully would know it. I really started it to inspire more female entrepreneurs and to better support the success of female entrepreneurs. I really noticed when I got to South Africa, the gender divide was so much broader than I experienced in Australia or in the UK. I was actually telling a guy about my business, and my boyfriend was standing next to me, and he was like, oh yeah, great. Turns to my boyfriend and is like, let's set up a coffee so we can discuss this. And I was like, no, this is not his business, this is mine. Then I started working for Techstars. This is the amazing cohort. It's a 3-month accelerator for fintech companies. There were 10 businesses and 80 people part of the cohort, and I think you can see there is no diversity. There was not a single female founder on this entire program. They sourced companies globally, and they could not find one, even with one female founded business. I looked at a lot of the applications. There's a lot of the reasons for this. Part of it was fintech is very male dominated. Part of it, I believe, is the selection committee was male. And also, I don't think we put ourselves forwards, and we don't sell like men sell when they talk about their businesses. So we started Future Females in August last year. We now have 14 chapters around the world. We just launched in the US. That's actually our amazing Detroit ambassador launching it for us this week. And we also now run an online accelerator, which is a 3-month online program. All right, so that's, I guess, why I'm here, and I'm going to share with you 6 tips. The first thing is, be obsessed with your idea. No one is going to think your idea is going to succeed as much as you need to be. You need to be truly obsessed. I think there's this negative connotation to the word obsession as well that we've developed, but it's not negative, and you need to believe you're going to succeed more than anyone else. When I started, and the girl that stood up and said I had to quit my job because I was being paid too well, that is such an issue and such a problem, because there's this carrot consistently hanging over you. You need to be obsessed. My parents were like, this is the dumbest thing you've ever done. You've moved countries, they'd never been here, so they had no conception of the environment, the ecosystem. And they're like, and you've left this job behind. And Bevan, my boyfriend's left his job behind. His parents were emailing him, don't you think it's time Lauren gets a job? It's like, that's subtle. No one is going to think you're going to succeed until you start seeing some runs on the board, so you need to be truly obsessed. And also, for a second reason, entrepreneurship is not glamorous at all. Like, I stand here in clothes I bought yesterday. I just re-pierced my ears in the bathroom because I was like, I feel like I should be wearing earrings. It's not glamorous. I seriously did. This one's backwards. I couldn't put it in forward. This is how I spend most of my days. Not on a stage, not what social media makes it look like. And this is actually a nice photo. I couldn't bring myself to put the worst ones up. In bed, the laptop. There's another laptop on the other side of me. That's a wine because it's stressful. You're alone and you're the only one working on this day after day, hour after hour, 2 a.m. in the morning. You have to be truly obsessed. Okay, the second thing is set massive goals and tell the world. So we had our first Future Females event last August in Cape Town over at Rise, and someone from VentureBurn, the publication, called me afterwards for an interview. He was like, how many members do you guys want to hit in the first year? Hadn't discussed this with my co-founder at all, and I was like, 20,000 probably. Next minute, this article pops up in VentureBurn. Female entrepreneur platform aims to sign 20,000 women in the first year. My co-founder calls me and is like, what? We've run one event, we don't have a plan, we don't have a strategy, we have nothing, we don't know what we're doing. But then suddenly we had a goal. We had a massive, massive goal that everyone in our team was rallied behind. We didn't hit 20,000, but it doesn't matter. We hit 11, 12,000. If we'd set our goal at 5,000, we would have hit 5 or 4. So set massive goals. Another massive goal was we launched our business school. We were talking about it 6 weeks ago. We were like, let's launch this online incubator for women. And we're discussing as a team. They were like, no, I think we should do it in January. We'll have more time then. We can prep, we can build the brand, etc. And I was like, are we just letting our excuses talk us into inaction? And a girl on my team was like, yes, we are. And now we're in week 3 of this incubator. We have 44 women going through it from 11 countries. Just because we said, like, fuck it, let's just do it and see what happens. I've learned to have not a fear of failure, but a really deep fear. Like, if you don't do it now, someone else will do it. Most of our ideas are not unique. None of my ideas are unique. That's okay. I'm just the one doing it. And I think that's really the difference. Woo! So the other thing to do with goals is, and what I've realized, it's important to have an output goal. Like, we want to have 20, we want to make R1 million, we want to have 20,000 members. You need to also have a massive input goal. You have to back it up with huge action. So again, this week, without thinking it through, I announced on social, I'm going to do a live, an Instagram TV, a Facebook post, and a YouTube video every single day for a year. Massive action. It's actually like so much more work than I was anticipating. But set it, put it out there, and then you'll find a way to deliver. Okay. 3 is take one step every single day, which kind of aligns with what I was just talking about with action. You don't have to have it all figured out. You actually don't have to have anything figured out. If you are, one of my personal, most hated things is business plans, actually. And really long business plans, and people that sell you really long business plans. You're not even going to read your own 50-page plan. There's no way. Freelancers you work with, they're not going to look at it. The second you start and you put something in the hands of your customers, you're going to have to rip that up. And that feels awful if you've spent months writing this plan, and then maybe you won't, and then you're self-sabotaging. So take a step, take an action. When we launched Future Females, we came up with the idea 1 week before. We didn't have a speaker the day before, and we had all of these people rocking up at Rise for the event. I was looking up businesses in Cape Town with physical stores so I could ring them, and checking if they had a female founder, and calling the store, and I was like, please put me through to the owner, I need them. We had nothing figured out, and it was beautiful, and everything just evolved from there. So whatever you have in your mind, whatever is holding you back, just take a step today, and you will get there. So often people talk about how entrepreneurship, it's not a journey you take yourself. You need a team, you need a mentor, you need an advisor. I think that is good advice and that's helpful, but what it was for me is, if you put your idea out there, if you have these massive goals, if you have these dreams people are passionate about as well, people come to you, and they really do. Every one of our team, we met at the launch, and then I had coffee with them, and they're like, please let me do something. And the same with our chapters. We haven't ever recruited. Our ambassadors have come to us and said, like, can I represent Future Females? And what I found challenging was making space for those people. You have to relinquish control of your idea, and it will change, and things will go wrong, but making space for those people is what's allowed us to grow so quickly and in the direction that we have. There's a book I'm absolutely obsessed with called Big Magic. Some of you might know it. It's by Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. I guarantee this is better. I even have it actually tattooed on me. That's how much this has changed my life. She talks about how ideas are not our own. Creativity is a force in the world that you tap into. Your idea comes to you, but it comes to a lot of people. And you tap into it, but if you hold it too tightly, you're going to crush it, and you're going to self-sabotage again. If you're more of like a guider of your idea. And if you keep it as this force, which is what I feel Future Females is, other people will also tap into it, and they'll build it in their own way. And I guess that's why we say it's a movement rather than a business, because we don't know exactly where it's going, and that's okay. And the same with my team. I'm a massive control freak. I'm sure some of you are too. But when you're doing big things, you just have to relinquish and see what happens. You have to kind of be okay with things going wrong, because they will, but you have to pick yourself back up. Okay. It was great that Holly gave you lots of tips on building your business brand, and it's obviously critically important to know what that is. But what we often don't do is take the time to really define and deliberately build our personal brand as well. When I launched the Growth Academy, I launched it behind a logo. I was like, I'll put the logo out there, I'll do all of my marketing. I didn't even have my face on the website, because I was like, if this fails, no one will know it was me. And it's great. But it was so impersonal. I was getting emails like, hi, the Growth Academy, can you help me with my business? And it was, it just didn't feel like that personal connection that you really need. Like, people buy from people. So I rebranded as Lauren Dallas. It's actually not my name is Lauren Davis. Dallas is my middle name. It sounds much cooler, I think. I rebranded, and now I do all of my marketing and my selling through my own brand. And that's really where my business took off. It was only in around January or February, but owning it and putting yourself out there, even though it's scary, is what works. And also to do it authentically. I posted this image on Instagram this week, which, it looks, I think, quite glam, in sequins, on a yacht, drinking champagne, but I'm wearing 2 different socks inside slippers on a boat. And that's what people want to see. They want to see the real you. They want to see the fuck-ups. They want to see your vulnerabilities. And as painful as it is to show that on social, or in the real world as well, that's like how you build this real connection. And that's what, I guess, has helped me build this business brand that I have. Okay, I went to a conference in Joburg where Robert Kiyosaki was speaking. And in between telling us, how many it's like, I have 50 Ferraris and you need to get one too. He said, stop thinking. And I was like, that is so unhelpful. Thanks, Robert Kiyosaki. But it's really stuck with me. It's like, just get out of your own head. Your mind can be your most powerful tool, but it can also be your biggest hindrance. Just keep it light. Things will go wrong. I ran a webinar. I had about 300 people tune in for one of my first Instagram webinars ever. And I couldn't turn the sound on, so no one could hear me. There are all these comments coming through, is this a joke? What a waste of my time. Like, what a scam, etc. And I couldn't respond because I couldn't turn my microphone on. I was like, it was horrendous, but there's nothing you can do. Just emailed them and said, what a fuck up. And they go, that's fine. Everyone understands. We've run events for Future Females that no one wanted to come to. We've had the wrong dates on event banners. Everything goes wrong, and you just have to keep it light. This is my real revenue chart for Growth Academy for the first year. I'm sharing it because it is not a hockey stick curve. I don't think that happens. I mean, great if yours is, good for you, and please teach me how. But this is what mine really looked like. So I'm just going to walk you through it. Do I have 2 more minutes? Okay, cool. So I launched it last August, and in September I made my first sale to myself. It was, it was really exciting. I was checking if the payment system worked, and it was $3. But it felt good. So in October, I made my first sales. I did an offline workshop on how to start your business. We made a couple of sales, had about 15 people there, which was really exciting. And then I sold a couple of programs online as well as I went into November. So things were really picking up. Got into December and I was like, awesome, hockey stick on its way. Then I started getting a lot of customer requests, customer inquiries about helping them and challenges they're facing with. And I was like, wow, I'm actually really responsible for these people. You know, this value exchange has made me responsible for their businesses, for their success. And I was like, whew, I don't know if I'm up to this. Like, imposter syndrome hits you. So I went, you know what? It's coming into silly season. My parents are coming over to see South Africa for the first time. I'm just gonna stop doing anything. My mind was like, no, it's best if you just take a break. And so you can see there, January, nothing, February, 0, all in my mind. And then both the emotional as well as the financial input you need to pick yourself back up from 0 again is like starting again back in August. I'd lost all of these months just because of my self-talk. So anyway, things went well. As you can see in March and April, again, I was like, great, onto a good thing. And then in May, I turned 30. And I was over on holiday with some of my friends, and one of my big programs is my Facebook advertising course. And I was, you know, checking in between wines and pizzas on how the business was going and how the ads were going. And one day I opened my ads manager and I was like, shit, like my ads are going really badly. The cost of lead has doubled, people aren't engaging, what am I doing? And I was like, but I'm teaching Facebook advertising, so, and mine aren't working. I'm a fraud, what am I doing? This negative self-spiral. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna stop, I'm gonna turn everything off again and I'll deal with it when I get back. And again, that's why there's this huge dip in June. I could barely recover in July and only got back to where I was in August. So I kind of look at, if I hadn't had these two moments of like intense self-doubt, where would I be now? And how far could I have got in the first 12 months? So I guess I share it for two reasons. The first is, if you are like me and you spiral into this negative self-talk, you're not alone. And the faster you can just pick yourself back out of it, the better. And then, I forget what the second was, but I'm sure it was going to be great. All right. Lastly, remember why you started it in the first place? There's this concept called the entrepreneur's dilemma. We get into business because we think it's going to be glamorous. I'm going to have all this time and money and freedom to do everything I want. And then 6 months, 12 months in, you're sitting in your bed, downing wine, stressed, there's no money, no one cares, you have no freedom, you've built this cage for yourself. It doesn't have to be like that, and it really helps to know upfront why you're doing it. So I'm doing it because for future females, well, for Growth Academy, I want to allow myself to live anywhere I want to be and have total freedom, and for my partner as well. And then future females exist because I want to empower other women to have the same. And this has helped me say no to things. Someone came and said, why don't you start a digital agency? You know, there's a lot of money in it. And instead of going like, cool, let me follow the money, I said no, because then I have to have an office. I have to have employees. I'm building myself a 9-to-5 if I say yes to this opportunity. So I could comfortably say no and focus on what would deliver. So I think we often start and our why is our idea, and that's great, but you also need that other why that keeps you going as a person. Lifestyle why. There's an exercise from a coach out of the States called the Desire Map. It's free if you want to go and do it. It helps you define your desired feelings and then work backwards to therefore what your goals should be. It's completely changed how I've goal set. This is the first year of my life I've ever had a financial goal. My boyfriend is the first year he hasn't had a financial goal. It completely flips things. So if you're not sure of your lifestyle why, then check it out. It's the Desire Map. Okay, that's it from me. Before I jump off, we are doing a competition for today as well. As I mentioned, Future Females, we launched a business school. It's a 3-month incubator to take women from idea to business. We are in our first cohort, as I said, 44 women going through it. We're going to relaunch again next February, but since we don't want everyone to have to wait that long, we've created a mini course called Start Your Business Right. It is an online course. It helps you define your own entrepreneurial style and the habits you need to succeed as a female entrepreneur, to map out your business plan on one page, to understand your customer persona like Holly was sharing, and to have a clear path of action that you've committed to. So we're giving away a spot in this program, which also includes a coaching